Members, ladies and gentlemen, a very cold good evening to one and all, because it's chilled outside, with heartfelt warmth. I hope you all had your quick bite and hot coffee or tea. The speaker has just arrived and in no time he should be upstairs. In the meantime, let me take this opportunity to quickly wrap up the events that we have for the coming month. One of the big events that is lined up is on 19th of August. That's in Lee Meridian. It is from 6:30 to 9 o'clock. This is a CFO meet. And it is admission only by invitation. So should you wish to attend the program, kindly send us a confirmatory mail, following which we will send you an invite. As far as possible, we are trying not to announce please carry your invitation with you, but it all depends on the number of requests we get. The second big program is workshop on search, seizure and survey. This is done. On Saturday we are having the level 2 of the 2-day workshop on enabling service tax practice and laws, level 2. This is on Saturday, 10th of August. It starts from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. The next study circle we have is on cyber frauds, a similar related topic on cyber laws and what we have today. The speaker is here. Without wasting much time, I request my fellow committee member, Mr. Bhatt, to kindly escort the speaker to the dais. Can we have a round of applause? Shri Anand JANGID, a very dear friend. Mr. Bhatt, my fellow member in the committee and again a very dear friend. If I tell you William Henry Gates, I do not know how many would you be able to identify with him. But if I tell you Bill Gates, I'm sure each and every one of us present here know who he is. Now, one of the big, small success mantras that he used to follow, every morning, the first thing when he used to wake up, he used to do is open the Forbes list of richest Americans, go through the list and look for his name in the Forbes list of richest Americans. When he used to not find his name, he used to get back to work. That was what he says now, the biggest success mantras he followed. And the day came when he ranked 1 in that list. We have a similar personality, Anand. Let me have this pleasure of introducing Anand to you. Before that, can I request Bhatt to felicitate him with a floral bouquet? Anand PRAKASH JANGID is his full name. Fondly we call him Anand. He is incidentally a chartered accountant, but otherwise he is a CISA graduate, DISA, and he has done his ACP. He is fully into the technical line. You can call him a scientist. His interests include, he has presented various papers on enterprise risk management, IT controls and various international forums. He is a visiting faculty at ISACA, ICI and the Wellinger Institute of Management. He has conducted many international workshops on enterprise risk management. He has been involved in many educational and research engagements for Infosys Consulting Group. He has conducted many CP engagements for ISACA and ICI. He was also a member of the subcommittee on information technology of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, the Bangalore chapter. He is an active member of Young India, a confederation of Indian Industries Associate, that is CII, which works to make Indians proud about themselves and encourage nostalgic feelings. Anand is a chartered accountant, certified information systems auditor from US, and an approved certified professional with 10 years of IT experience. His areas of specialization include enterprise risk management, forensic accounting, risk and compliance, project management, designing and implementation of regulatory compliance framework, IT governance, and management audits. He is a subject matter expert in the field of enterprise risk management, forensic audit, and XBRL. He is involved in developing of regulatory compliance framework for various compliances like Sarbanes-Oxley Act, and was a part of the team developing solutions for Basel II laws, accord implementation. He was involved in enterprise risk management implementation and IT audit for many international projects at US, UK, Japan, China, etc. for Infosys Technologies Limited. Prior to Infosys, he was with risk management team at the Goldman Sachs, covering multiple audits across many geographic locations for different functions in the organization. And his specializations include anti-money laundering, Basel II, BCPs, and operational risks. With this brief introduction and with a smile on his face, we now leave the floor open to Anand. Over to you, Anand.
I think I'll be more comfortable downstairs, if it is fine with everyone. Huh? Fine. Fine, right? Yes. Very good evening, everyone. First of all, my sincere apologies for being a little late. Till the time there are frauds, we'll be busy. So, okay, before I start, I really want to share where I was actually. Very interesting. I was with actually a director of finance of a large NGO. I cannot name it because we have an NDA with them. You know what's the interesting thing they called me for? You'll be surprised what's happening with them. This NGO has their offices in India, US and UK. You'll figure it out who they are, but anyway, I cannot name it up. Someone is using their payment gateway, the credit card payment gateway, to make payment of $1 each. That's all. Someone is just donating $1 to them. And there are like transaction of, every day, some 300 to 400 transactions happening on the payment gateway for $1 only. Can you guess why someone is just donating $1? I know dollars is like 61 rupees, something like that. Not now, okay. But then also, why is someone like donating $1? And that's like, these people are the next part which I'm going to tell you, this is going to be more interesting. They will have at least 300 transactions happening on their payment gateway. Out of that, maybe 50, 60 will pass. 240 transactions will fail. And 60 will be fine, $1. So $60 comes to them. But still, the director of finance who sits here and the head of IT are very worried. Anyone guess why they are worried for this? Is that the processing fee is high, that's why they are worried? What do you think should be they are worried about? Any guess? Huh? Sorry? The value of dollar is going up, I agree. But they should not be worried about that, right? Come on, that's like donation. This is an NGO, they are getting money from all over the world. So why they should be worried about this $1 payment coming to them? Payment gateway. Like for example, our institute fee also we pay through the payment gateway. I know a lot of time it flunks, right? Huh? I can get the database. not really. It's very strong. Like if Visa and MasterCard, what we see. Oh yeah.
There's a live streaming going on.
Okay, I'm sorry. Then I should be standing here. I'll not move at all. Okay, this part is fine. Okay, so I have a like Lakshman Rekha out here, so I'll not move out of that. Okay. Now, what I was trying to tell you is, what's happening is 60 to 70 transactions daily, and these guys are getting headache of their life. I met the CIO. You won't believe he has not slept for last 7-8 days. His eyes are like popped out. Director of Finance is saying that this is such a big issue. Can you imagine $60 such a big issue? Sorry? Someone is practicing the fraud of salami technique. Okay, this is very interesting. Okay, so I see him where he's coming from. But no, it's not salami. We'll discuss the salami technique. But it is not a salami technique. I hope you know what is salami? All of you? No? Okay, how many non-vegetarian out here? No non-vegetarian. Okay, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So all my friends who are non-vegetarian have to tell me what is salami. Come on. It's a very thin slice of meat, very thin. You know, basically if you go for a continental breakfast, you'll find it up like you can put it between the sandwich and have it up. Okay, no, I'm also vegetarian, I'm not saying that. No, it's just knowing it up, okay? Now the salami technique is a technique where I try to slice you so thin that you don't even know that you are being robbed. And we are talking on fraud, understanding prevention. That's a good point. But no, it's not salami technique. Not with their process. See, I hope when we see the bank audit when we have done, you would have seen banks usually have their payment gateway, you know, like MasterCard and all the things. I go Axis Bank, our institute use Axis Bank. We go, we give our MasterCard detail or Visa card detail, and it processed. But what happened next is it is taken over by MasterCard. The banks, let it be Axis Bank, anyone, no one takes care of. So it's basically a worldwide one standard, no difference out there. What do you think? If I tell you what happened, this is very interesting. All the cards which are being used on their payment gateway are fraudulent cards. Card which has been schemed. We'll talk about some of the videos. And someone is validating the card, basically whether the card is active or not. To check that up, they are using their payment gateway. And you know what happened? Basically these people are known, anyone who has taken the payment gateway are known as like vendors or all that thing. They can get blacklisted if their payment gateway is used multiple times for using fraudulent card. It means as an NGO, it depends on donation from worldwide. If they are not able to stop this, they will not have a payment gateway and they cannot accept money over MasterCard, Visa or MX card. So that's the problem. It's actually stopping them. You know, for NGO, what is the revenue source? Their donations. And they cannot collect donation. What we say, going concern, everything get affected, right? Don't you think so? Point which I'm trying to make up is, where I'm coming from, actually this was the thing, I'm sorry I got delayed for that. But these guys don't know how to come out with that. We are in a very, very different world. Very, very different world. And I'll prove it with some of the points. Let me go to the...
But Anand,
yeah.
How did the NGO get to know those are fraudulent cards?
Because what happens is, the moment that $1 thing happened, now there is a kind of a global database of all this card. So I will show you some video. If I tell you that, if I just, he was nice enough to stop me from here. Okay. So, okay, how many of you have your Google Nexus or any phone with... So here is one gentleman with Google Nexus. Anyone else who is having a Google Nexus phone here? Or anyone who has a phone with Samsung Tab or anything which is having NFC technology? Okay, so please raise your hand. So these guys are all dangerous people, okay? Just mark them. So basically what happens is, I'll show you some video. Using this technology is so easy, I don't have to even swipe your card. I can get your data. We'll discuss it up. Today, we are in a very ignorant, I would say we are actually in a very ignorant world. We don't know where we are. I always try to say, use a word which comes here. This is something, okay, this is the disclaimer. Huh? Just for a moment I want. The future is not what it used to be. tell me one thing. Okay, I see a lot of our professional brethren here. What is the first site you go when you are on the internet today? Google. Huh? Google, right? Facebook, okay. Google. Yeah. Stocks. Now, my point is, don't you think, when was Google incorporated? Let's start from that perspective. Anyone gives the right answer, I'll buy a dinner for them today. No. Incorporated. So, now we are chartered accountant, right? So, difference between company formed and incorporated, right? So, come on. Give me exact date, I buy that person a dinner today at Taj. Come on. Don't Google it up, huh? No one should Google it up. This is the worst thing which can happen, okay? Now, Google is there since 2010. Oh, sorry, 2010. Something around 2000, they actually, March of that, they got incorporated. 13 years. Don't you think the world has, 2000, have you imagined this kind of revolution where everything you want to see, even a case law you want to review, where do you go? Google. There's so much of information which is there on the thing. Now, I want to tell you one very interesting statement which was there. There is a Google I/O conference, which is basically their annual conference which happens. So Eric Schmidt, who is now the MD, he was earlier the CEO, then he became the MD. He made a very interesting statement, this recent Google I/O conference. What was the statement? He said, today, the world generates equivalent amount of data every 2 days, which was generated from the dawn of the civilization till 2001. Can you imagine that? From the dawn of the civilization till 2001, whatever amount of data was generated, we are generating that amount of data every 2 days. How many of you agree or disagree with this? Agree? Anyone disagree? Then he's not on Facebook. User-generated data is also a lot of things. Okay, all the posts, all the things which you do. Stock market, you name it up. Your income tax. Traces, how many of you are using traces? All of you, right? Do you know how much of data they have about you? You'll guess how I know it, but don't blame me. I was the program manager for the traces program. So I know we generate so much of data about you. You just don't know. Point which I'm trying to say is, the future, what we thought the future is going to be, and what it is today is different. Let me talk about some of the famous technology predictions. Why I'm just talking about technology is technologists think they are the best brain in the world, and see what they said and what we are today. Okay? IBM's chairman in 1943 said there's a world market of maybe 5 computers. Predictions, gone for a toss. Someone says there is no reason why anyone wants computer at home. And which is a boomer? Bill Gates. Mr. Bill Gates says in 1981, 640 kilobyte is enough for anyone. I think your pocket you will have 16 GB USB drives right now. And that also is already full with all the client data and Excel files right now. And tally backup. Don't you think so? We generate a huge amount of data. Huge. Now these are the headlines which are happening. Okay? When we talk about frauds, let me ask you one very basic question. Okay, please, no one should take offense of this question. So we are all chartered accountants, so it's fine, I can ask. Why did you do CA? Why did you do CA? Why not engineering, medical, politician, or Baba, Nirmal Baba kind of stuff? You could have become Babas and now it's good fun, huh? Why? Partners in nation building?
It was the toughest exam.
Okay, toughest exam.
So I wanted to crack it.
Okay, that's fair point. Anything else? That's one point. What else? Come on, let's have a honest, heart-to-heart discussion on this. Sir, you like it's my father case, okay? My father, so my father is in business, and he used to say, okay, chartered accountants are very, very thing. He said, you do nothing, you just do CA, do whatever you want to do after that, but you have to do CA. I know, that's the thing. So I had okay, that's interesting, sir. That's interesting. Anyone else? Yeah, so return on investment, ROI is good, right? That's true. Actually, yeah. First generation chartered accountant, yes, that's good. So, signature is valid. Actually, I was also the same thing. That whatever happens, whatever I do, even if I last moment of my deathbed also, if I sign, I'll get money for that, right? So, I also used to think the same thing. But, okay, on the jokes apart, honest thing. We did it for money, right? Good money, good status, honestly. Yes or no? That's the ultimate aim. What do you say? No. Ultimate aim is, yeah. Now, I have a question. Let me give you with a very, very facts and figure. We are all chartered accountant. Unless I give you a kind of a source where I'm talking about, you'll not believe me anything, right? Evidences are required. So let me ask you one question. Listen to this question very carefully, okay? Which profession, vocation, business in the world where I can make max amount of money, forget for a time being whether it's legal or illegal? No, frauds it takes a lot of time to do fraud. Come on, understand that. It's such a skill. Politics? Someone said politics. So if I am like Mr. We have the advocate who's a chartered accountant. Huh? Sir? Money? No, yeah. No. Hacking, those things are now, they have read Gita, so they are out of this. They think, paisa hath ka mail hai. Money is like waste, so they have read Gita. What do you think? Huh? Drugs? Who said drugs? Okay, okay. Someone said drugs. Red flags. Sir? No, not seeing. Earning money, sir. Huh? Entrepreneurs, sir. Oh, these guys make a lot of money. Okay. Now, I will just suggest you to go to a site called fbi.gov. Okay? FBI, every year before Christmas, they publish a list. Okay? Of these vocations. They have started this doing since 2004. You can see this list from 2004. Worldwide. Okay? Since 2004, the top on the list is narcotics. If you train someone to become a narcotics entrepreneur, he'll make a lot of money. It's like, I don't know if you've seen some of these Mexican movies and all the thing. They don't have time to count money. They weight it up. There's so much of money. Okay? Till 2011 December, that's the Christmas before that, the top of the list was narcotics. If you're in the narcotics business, you are in the right business. 2012.
You need to describe what it is.
Okay, narcotics business is, you should have your, you have to set up your business in Afghanistan and downtown New York. Source it from Afghanistan. There is a route through which you can actually source it up. So the moment you get the narcotics from Afghanistan and take it to New York downtown and sell it up, it's actually 50,000 times profit, not percentage, times profit. And the route which it goes through, especially is India, Mexico, and then New York. That's the kind of a route it takes. So your logistic business, and it's like everything, logistic, politics, everything has to come together and have to work it out. So that's the narcotics business which is there. Drugs and other things. Everything, drugs is illegal everywhere, sir, except for California where you can take it for medical purpose. It's illegal everywhere. But the point is that I talk one thing, legal or illegal, forget that. Because what I say illegal today in India, like all of you do cricket betting, right? No one, right? No one does that because it's illegal in India. But if you go to UK, it's legal. You can do that. So my point is that you can have a 25,000, okay, someone who's expert in Forex can explain me, but one of my friend who's a chartered accountant explained me that you can actually have an account on Forex of, I think, $25,000. You don't require a permission from RBI, and then you can do betting in UK sites and all the things. It's an interesting thing, right? People have a lot of ways of doing it up. Point. 2012, you know what was the list on the thing? Fraud done with the help of computers, or the word was computer frauds. Not hacking. Hacking is a very different kind of thing. To some extent it is there. Not pure fraud, because frauds, tell me one thing. If I ask in this room, anyone who has not done fraud? Small, big, doesn't matter. Never? Like never from your friends you took one chocolate extra, that is also fraud, right? That is, no. That's a different thing, Motivation of doing fraud and getting, There's a very interesting step. Okay, I'll challenge you, all of you, one thing. Okay, if you are from any organization where you work, I challenge you right now. I'll come and do a fraud review. If I don't get any fraud in your organization, I'll not charge any fees. If I get fraud, give me 5% of the fraud as my audit fee. Anyone agree? No one will agree. I'm telling you. You know why? Because it's there. Today, let's understand that the definition of fraud, if you see from ACFE, Association of Certified Fraud Examination, there's a very interesting report, the report to the nation. Fraud is not just fraud. They give the fraud as, occupational fraud, which you do as a part of thing. Corruption is also kind of a fraud. And there are multiple other ways of breaking it down. We'll discuss that part. So today, we are in a world where businesses are losing. One of the estimates says 5% of their revenue, not just profit, on fraud. So don't you think that's a huge, huge, huge amount? But the idea is, at the speed at which it's happening, it was always there. You cannot say this is one of the kind of oldest thing which used to happen, fraud. But the kind of pace at which it's happening and the magnitude which is happening is alarming. I would really tell you this whole concept of forensic accounting is there since last 15, 20 years. But last 6, 7 years, there have been a lot of interest in this area. Why? Because today, I can sit in Bangalore and commit a huge fraud in Malaysia and transfer that money anywhere in the world and you will not even know. How many of you heard about the famous $45 million ATM heist which happened just recently? 2 of the Pune-based companies are also part of that. How many have heard about that? Okay, only 3 people. Okay. You guys don't like your money or something? Like all of you are using internet banking and all the thing, right? And have ATM cards and all the thing. Then you should be reading about this thing. Today morning, what was the main news on NDTV? Anyone knows that? So 2 of the Indian companies in Pune have been actually charge sheeted under a case where from different part of the world, $45 million was withdrawn from ATM by cracking into the system which is used by banks. And it was not just hacking. Hacking is a very different kind of thing altogether. It was a mix of a kind of a ingenuity of your brain and working it together. We see, this is the news headline from 2012. 2013, they are worse. And we will see, we'll discuss it up. We live in a very, very different kind of world. Okay, by the way, how many of you have heard about the Aadhaar fraud? Huh? Heard about that? Did you commit one of this? It's so easy to do that. You know that?
Yeah, it's easy to do.
Huh?
It's easy to do.
So can you explain me how I can do an Aadhaar fraud?
See, a person can have more than 2 cards on board. And problem is that there's no security check for what they have.
So you mean to say when I go to make my other card, they will not hold me?
Absolutely.
Sure about that? What he's saying is perfect. It's not that the Aadhaar scheme is bad. Not at all. It's one of the best schemes which you can think of technology-wise. But what happens is when anyone new registration happens, they don't match your biometric again. So you can actually have 2 Aadhaar cards. And this is the fraud which is happening is very interesting. Registration. Plus card. I will have 2 cards. Sir, that's your estimation. See, we always think that what happens on the back office, a lot of people think there are a lot of controls. It's a good thing, but I don't want to discuss Aadhaar in detail. We have audited Aadhaar. But in Aadhaar, what happens is, if you know in Karnataka, do you know who is implementing Aadhaar? It's not, the UID is not doing it. There is a cooperative body set up by Government of Karnataka. If you go to, where? No, service provider, sir. You have gone to Vikas Soda. If you go to Vikas Soda, there is this multi-utility building is that, utility building. You go there, there is a center for e-governance. So there is one team which is there. Whole of Karnataka, they are rolling it out. So they have taken the software from Aadhaar. They have been audited by Aadhaar and they are rolling it out. Now, it is on them. It is like, for example, opinion, right? In 2 chartered accountants can have different opinion. They have rolled it out, not standardized with the way Maharashtra has done it. So it is very much possible. If I want to do 1 card here, 1 in Maharashtra, feasible. There's no check which will happen. Interesting, isn't it? They're trying to come out with ways to manipulate it, but that kind of things happen. That's why NPR is also waste of public money. I hope you know about NPR. Duplication. Anyway, we are not discussing politics. There are today a lot of politics discussion happening, right? So this is the world today, we see, computer world. Now, I will talk about a couple of case studies before I go to the forensic and fraud prevention. Let me first talk about the one which I said, cyber fraud and crimes, which are more than drug earnings. Okay, I have a question here. How many of you heard about .onion site? Okay, you like onions? No? Onions? All of you like it, right? Anyone who doesn't like? Okay. Okay, all of you heard about .com site? How many of you heard about .onion sites? No one? Come on. You don't like onions, this means, okay? So, okay, let's do one thing, okay? You go back home today, open your favorite Google, and start searching a couple of terms, okay? Search for how to make bomb, Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden, XYZ. What will happen if you do it? Nothing, right? No, nothing. Huh? No way. You can go on Google. You want, I can search it right now. You want me to do it? Huh? What will happen? Sorry? No. No, actually next day it will be too much, but if you do it for minimum 2 to 3 days, in Hindi movies, all police come in the last, right? After every crime is committed, everything. I guarantee you, you will figure it out from, like, if you stay in Rajayanagar or Subramanyanagar, police station, someone will come from there and check out who stays there, what is that person, whether it's a rented house, what kind of thing. They will do a complete cross verification. Now, what's it mean? It means that we are in a very, very interesting time. Whatever you do. Okay, by the way, do you sign a balance sheet without reading it? No one, right? How many of you read the Google agreement when your Gmail agreement and Yahoo agreement? Facebook, anyone? So that's bad. So come on, we are chartered accountant. We simply accept. I just searched. Huh? Huh? No. There is, so this is different. See, there is Gmail and there is a paid Gmail version, okay, which is apps, Google Apps. If you take the agreement of Google Apps and this one, they are two different ones. But if you see the Gmail agreement, and especially Facebook agreement, okay, I'm actually working with one of our clients who is actually going to give you loan based on your social analytics, which means you have to give your user ID or password of your Facebook. Based on that, they will say whether, just like we have, our loan eligibility on what. Right now, you have CIBIL, right? CIBIL score. Your Facebook also will go to tell you whether your CIBIL scores is there. But anyway, that's a different thing. But whatever you do on your Facebook account, if you think it's like between you and Facebook, forget that. They sell the data. I can buy your data about you anytime. I was talking about .onion site. Okay. Now, why I was talking about .onion site is, there is a kind of a term which is there. If you are actually, sorry, by the way, please stop me wherever. I will be going as fraud and forensic accounting is a multidisciplinary thing. We talk about law, we talk about accounting, we talk about processes, we talk about technology. So when we are talking about forensic accounting, we'll be going between law, we'll be talking from a perspective of accounting, we'll be talking it from perspective of, all this technology will be coming together. So that's the reason it's a multidisciplinary thing. Now, why I was talking about that is, today, you won't believe that everything you do on the net is being monitored. Now, what is the way out? Now, there's a kind of concept of .onion site, which is a kind of a project called Tor. Now, that was a project by US Navy, and now all the bad people are using it up. Okay. So if I am on Tor, it's something like this. I'll actually go back and forth. Do you see this DuckDuckGo search engine? Heard about this? No? It's more popular than Google. Do you know that? It can, okay, by the way, if you see Google can search only the tip of the iceberg. If I use DuckDuckGo, I can search 80% of the internet, which means Google can actually search only 5% of the internet. This is known as deep web search engines, DuckDuckGo. And this is actually enabled only on from a perspective of what we say Tor side. Why I'm telling you, because when we do our fraud investigations and all the things, these are some of the tools you use, and this is something which is the world we are going about. Yeah, shadow, there are many of this like kind of thing. Now this is how Tor works. See, if Alice is sending some information to Bob, you see all the green part, you will never be able to trace it up. Today, whatever you do, I told you about, like if you search Osama bin Laden and all the thing, you will get tracked. But if I use a kind of concept of Tor, I will never ever be traced. I can do anything, any issue. It is basically known as anti-forensic technology, which means if anyone is using this, I cannot trace it up. See, we also work on a concept of audit trail. When I have to prove it in the court of law that, okay, this is the evidence, this is on based on which a fraud has committed, I have to go back and try to see where this attack has happened from. But if anyone is using this, I cannot trace it up. One of the last assignment we did in the month of March, you won't believe what was the assignment. Client called us to write an FIR. An FIR to the police station, because if I have to prove that there is something has been committed, something wrong has been done to my company, I have to go and tell the police, they have to take action on that. I hope you know there is a cyber police station in Bangalore, right? Yes. And they have one more actually in the high grounds also. They have one more there. Now, if I have to go and tell them, they don't know this. And do you know at what level our law enforcement agencies are working? Our law enforcement agencies like police and all the thing. I'll tell you one interesting thing. So I have a friend of mine who's an IPS officer. He's based out of Mumbai. He was in the cybercrime branch out there. He was telling one very interesting thing. So all this cybercrime police station, they don't have area jurisdiction. They have a state jurisdiction. They don't have an area jurisdiction. So basically, in case there is a crime which is committed in, let's say, institute or out there, they have to go to the high grounds police station, take force from that, come here, do the investigation, go back, report it up, and take that up. So this guy was doing some, I don't know if you know, sometime around 2 years back, there was some morph picture of Shivaji Maharaj which was uploaded into Facebook by some people, and it was like communal tension started in Maharashtra. Now that time he was investigating it. They found out there is a cyber cafe. From there it was done. They want to trace who has used it, from which IP address. I can actually trace it up where you are doing it. Very easy to do that. It's like even you can do it. There is a tool called Trace It. You can trace all your emails where are they coming from. You can do it. So what is the big deal for the government agencies? So what he does is he said, okay, let's go to the cyber police station, and he wanted to make a Caesar list. You know, they want to seize it up, and there is a CFL, our Central Forensic Laboratories in Hyderabad. So they send it all the thing. I hope you know Income Tax Department, when there is a raid case, where does the hard disk goes? Have you ever figured it out or tried to figure it out? They all go to CFL, Hyderabad. So if you have connection in CFL, you can actually take the hard disk back. You want to do that? Anyway, I'm just joking. Don't. So whatever. Okay, it's all recorded. I'm sorry. So this is an evidence. Okay, so I have to be careful. Whatever I say. Some of the thing I cannot even talk about today. Nevertheless. So they wanted to do the Caesar. So he took a couple of Havaldars and tell that, okay, you make a Caesar list, which is known as Panchnama. If you know that, it's known as Panchnama, and bring up all these things up. He goes to his office in BKC, Bandra Kurla complex. He goes there, is waiting for the thing to come. After 1 hour, 2 hours, the Havaldar comes. You know with what? Monitors. CPUs are left there. Now, if that is the state of our, try it. Awareness, like especially for law enforcement agency, it's not for us. If our law enforcement agencies don't know that, okay, there's a crime can be committed. If you have a credit card fraud and all the things, whom do you go to? You go to a police station, right? And he says, how can credit card fraud happen? How do you work with that? Okay? So now this, I cannot trace it up. This is a purely anti-forensic. Let me show you some 2-3 videos to just tell you about this whole concept of credit card fraud. You just see that how easy and how interesting it is. I really would like to speak less and let the video speak more out there. Just give me a moment.
street corners to stores and restaurants. But are they really safe to use? Every year, more than 3 million Americans are victimized by ATM fraud, and the numbers keep going up. The team is about to show you just how little you know.
When people use an ATM, they don't really pay close attention. As long as the machine works and they get their cash, they think everything is cool. But this hustle is going to show you what happens when you don't pay close attention.
This is the Cash Machine Con. The hustler's target? An ATM machine outside of a cafe. Phase 1. Apollo's job is to attach an electronic card reader equipped with a tiny camera to the ATM slot without getting caught. Here it is before, and here it is after. Would you think twice about using this machine? Phase 2. All he has to do now is sit and wait for a mark. A woman approaches. She takes out her wallet. She's at the ATM. Will she spot the fake card reader? She doesn't even hesitate. The hustler's device picks up all of the data from her card's magnetic strip, and the miniature video camera captures her entering her PIN. Within 30 seconds, all the mark's card details have been recorded. Phase 3. Apollo retrieves the device and heads to the hustler's truck.
You guys, how'd it go?
It was fast.
Yeah, great.
Here you go.
Great. I'm just going to connect it to the computer, and I can download the video.
The info stored on the card reader is downloaded onto their computer, as well as the video of the PIN number. They now have all they need to make a new ATM card and completely empty the mark's bank account.
Great. There you go.
Ryan clones the information from the woman's ATM card onto a hotel room key, and Apollo tests it out. It's as simple as that.
Were you just using the ATM machine?
Yeah.
I think you left some of your information here.
Time to reveal to this woman what happened.
You notice anything a bit different about the machine than a while ago?
No.
No? Turn around for a second. Look at this. This piece was here a while ago. Does that look a little bit different than it did?
Yeah.
That's not part of the machine. You just ran your card through this device, and that was reading all your card information. And then this needle right here, the needle hole, was shooting at your PIN numbers when you punched in. So now we have your PIN number and your credit card information. You all right?
The mark is stunned.
That really freaks me out because it just makes you realize how easy it is for people to just take your information and you wouldn't even know. Because there's a lot of things that you just don't pay attention to, things that you do every day, and you think it's just an ATM machine. Yeah, it's kind of scary.
Now we're going to up the game a little. We're going to show you how a resourceful hustler doesn't have to use high-tech devices. They just need nerves of steel.
This second hit uses clever choreography and split-second timing. Phase 1. Apollo is in position close to the ATM. He will play a vital role a little later. Cue Danny, who's pretending to be injured. Danny starts to use the machine, but she's really waiting for someone to get in line behind her. This woman is now the mark, and her every move is being watched by Apollo. She takes out her bank card. Time for phase 2.
This was a critical moment. I only had a split second to match her card with the ones in my collection.
Got it. Now for phase 3. Danny is about to cause a distraction, giving Apollo the opportunity to swap his bogus card for the marks.
Get out of your way.
Danny falls over just as the mark dips her card. The woman looks over towards the distraction, but leaves her card hanging in midair. And because she's already dipped it, she's ready to enter her PIN and put her card away. Time to strike. Apollo goes to help Danny, switching the card on the way. But will the mark spot the switched bank card? She doesn't even look.
When I bumped into her, she didn't notice that I took the card out of her hand and dropped another one in its place, because she was too distracted by Danny.
Now, as the mark enters her PIN, Apollo shoulder serves, and the hustlers once again have everything they need to empty someone's bank account. She's been hustled. So, how does she feel?
I felt violated, to be honest with you. I felt as if, how could I be so silly and keep my card out while trying to help someone in distress, not realizing, oh my goodness, you weren't paying attention.
On the black market, 2 bank cards with PIN numbers could fetch a cool $20,000.
By the way,
everywhere.
this is a little old information. This was $20,000 now. You want to buy this card details? If you buy it in like bulk, 50 cards, the price right now has gone down. Like, you know, economy of scale, and also like there is a downturn, right? It's a recession time. Can you imagine at 50 cards at what price I can get? No. So? Actually, it's around $100, 50 cards. But the problem is, it's like Yashwanthpur vegetable market. Okay? Been to Yashwanthpur vegetable market? No. So there are 2 types of place where I can buy vegetable, right? One, they will not let me select. And one is they will just say 2 kgs, 2 kgs. Okay? So it's like 50 card I cannot select. Okay? I can get it $100. I cannot select. Out of 50, 10, 15 may work. Something may not work. It is something like, that's the reason why in this case of this NGO, someone was testing whether this card is working or not by giving one thing out. So it's like the market is that kind of stuff. I have one more video before we go next. This is like interesting. So, you know, a lot of my friends tell me, you know what, this is so damn, you are telling me my card has a chip. I hope all of you have your credit card and debit card with chip. How many of you have with the chip? Okay, you guys are more problematic, in fact. Let me show you. Okay.
Grab your information.
So this is for all my friends who are on NFC. Okay, try it out, okay?
How easy it is for thieves to grab your information. The technology that's supposed to make our lives easier is really making us an easy target. Fox 13's Alcide Segui is here now with another example of how crooks are using our personal information. Alcide, good morning.
Good morning to you, and good morning. You just saw a little while ago, this is Walt Augustinowicz. He was in that video a little while ago. He's with Identity Stronghold, IDstronghold.com. And, man, you got some really interesting things, because you can take someone's credit card information without even opening their wallets. How are you able to do that?
Absolutely, yeah. They're putting new radio chips in these credit cards. You can't tell. It looks like a regular credit card, but basically by waving it, you can pay rather than sliding it through the magnetic stripe reader. But what we're able to do is take that same type of reader and just get near somebody's card. Like that, we are able to scan that credit card, full credit card account number, expiration date, everything we need to make a purchase.
And obviously you have it wireless, it's Bluetooth, so this credit card information is now stored in this tablet, and this is actually your credit card information too.
Absolutely, yeah. And someone could easily, at a game or whatever, walk through a crowd, just be passing people's back pockets, collecting credit card information just like that. It's as simple as that.
And what is this called? What is this process? Because you were telling me you've made this little deal here with less than $100, so anybody can do this.
Right, absolutely, yeah. Unfortunately, this is readily available equipment. Same thing with stores use to take these credit cards. We were able to just take it and stash it right in here.
And what is
as simple as that?
It's a credit card reader?
That's a credit card reader and a battery, and just a little Bluetooth transmitter to send it over to either that tablet, a cell phone. It doesn't have to be a big tablet like that. We're just doing that for demonstration purposes, but it's that simple.
And it's happening, too. It's happening to a lot of people.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's hundreds of millions of these new cards, and these readers are readily available. The thieves are figuring this out quickly. There's going to be an absolute storm of fraud coming up on the near horizon. We're working with police departments to educate them, to show them how to, help protect people and show
them how they get stolen.
You were telling me some of the new cell phones have an application, have some sort of processor already built in it that helps read credit cards? Explain that to me.
Right. These new phones that are all coming out have what they call near-field communications, or NFC, and they're designed so you can pay with your cell phone just by waving it over a reader.
Right. I've seen the commercials, yeah.
Right, and there's millions of these phones on the market now, and more, almost every phone in the future is going to have this. But unfortunately, that same technology that pretends to be a credit card can actually read a credit card. So this phone all by itself, if I actually put this phone next to a credit card, will actually read that credit card. And what will happen, though, is then when you have this technology in here, we are able to make an app that, you know, a bad guy could make a game with this Trojan horse in it. Every time you put your phone next to your credit card,
That's so interesting.
it gets stolen and transmits your credit card number off to somebody in another country.
I have it too.
Someone with a smartphone downloads an application. You think it's a tic-tac-toe game. You think it's any game. It turns out to be a virus that someone made halfway across the world.
Absolutely. And they're in another part of the world, and you're putting your phone next to your credit card in your pocket, and you're getting ripped off.
Wow.
With the millions of phones coming out and the hundreds of millions of credit cards, I mean, this is going to be a tidal wave of fraud when these two collide with the amount of equipment that's going to be out there for people to steal.
Very quickly, passports as well, are at least the new passports are a big problem too.
Yeah, well, since 2006, if your passport has that little rectangle down there on the front, it means it has a radio chip in it, has all the information, including your photo, on that little radio chip. So you want to keep
Let's
those.
show that that little square. I guess that looks like a credit card or something.
Yeah, it's like a little rectangle with a circle in the middle. But the thing is, though, you can protect yourself. I wish the credit card companies were doing this for people, but you know, something as simple as our sleeve here. By putting your credit card in the sleeve, it's a radio blocking sleeve.
Protects it.
Shuts it off, or you can even get a shielded wallet. You know, something as simple as that.
Thank you so very much for coming.
Okay, am I audible now? Yeah. You may say it happens in US and all the thing. We are all very, you know, what? Namma Bangalore agalaitara, right? Do you know one interesting thing? Just go back home today. Search for news.google.com. Search for Bangalore plus credit card plus theft. Just search it out. Or you can do it right now on your smartphone. Just 3 months back, you know, there was from Whitefield, they arrested a guy, you know, and his qualification is interesting. This guy was MS in cybersecurity from UK. This guy was arrested, you know what for? You will not believe. This guy was living in a very posh bungalow in Whitefield. Imagine, it's all basically flats, and he was having a bungalow in Whitefield. Point number one. And how they got arrested, this is very interesting. Actually, police was taping a phone of a lady whom they were actually having some thought of she's committing crimes and all the thing. She was talking to someone else saying that I want some false credit card and we have to contact this guy. They get hold of this guy. When they found him out, they found he stays in a very posh bungalow, has 3 ODs, okay? And you know what he does? He is a very simple business. All of your petrol bunk, okay? He just gave them skimmer. This small devices, it costs you less than $35, okay? He gave them skimmer for a day. Tell them when you are swiping the card of the people, swipe it up here. Now, he is not so expert. He was like, technologically, a lot of people are not very expert. He will collect all this data. They are encrypted. The back side of the card is basically encrypted, the thing. He used to collect all these things, send it to a kind of a hackers in Russia. He will decrypt it, send it back to him. He will write new cards. Writing new cards, like you saw it, is like small scale industry, okay? Now, I'm not joking. If you want, I will tell you one place. Next time you're in Thailand, okay, there is one nice electronic market. Go there. You can actually start like less than 5,000 rupees in a small scale industry of doing scheming, okay? 5,000 is the investment. Return depends on how much you can get, right? Better than CA, isn't it? No, I'm just joking. But the point is that 5,000 bucks is just takes INR to start it up. He was doing it, and he was doing it up, all those things like extensively. And he was actually selling this credit card. So basically, one card, one transaction. Go to Shoppers Stop, buy some nice watch of 10,000 bucks, come out. That's all. Then he will tear it off. Tell me one thing. How many times you have seen anyone checking your signature on the card? Does anyone check it up? No one. No one. That's the point. It's a kind of weak. And you will ask me, if there are so many frauds happening, why the credit card company is not doing anything? Any idea? Why they're not doing anything? Heard about cost-benefit analysis? No, they get interest, and the kind of thing that right now, yes sir, yes. We are liable to pay. Yeah, unless you can prove it up. And to prove it, so it just happened with one of my partner. Okay, so her card was used, HSBC card, to actually do a kind of a jewelry shopping of 80,000 rupees in Aurangabad. And then when we went up, the only way we can prove it up is that she is in Bangalore at that point of time when the card was served out. If it is not there, and if someone can prove it has happened in Bangalore and you are in Bangalore, what happens? You are just lost out there. Point which I am trying to say is, we are in a kind of a very, very interesting juncture. We need to understand that the world we live in is actually changing at a very, very fast pace. Okay, I want to show you this is how easy it is to put a schema, and here you can see it up. This is like at petrol pump. This is a small thing. This is a schema which costs you out there. Why I was showing you all this thing is because I made a statement here. Credit card fraud in 2010. I don't have the new figure out there right now. So the last source which I have is $18 billion, 2010. We are in now. So progress has happened, right? So it would have been a figure which is more than that. This is the figure which is at that. And you and I. See, fraud impacts everyone. Fraud impacts economy. Fraud impacts organizations. You agree, disagree? There have been, can you tell me any organization which has gone out of business because of fraud? Enron, Satyam, okay? Many of them. Which means, I know, when we talk about this new area of forensic accounting, it's actually one step more. We were always told about one thing, right? In accountancy, auditor and auditing subject when we were final, auditor, there should be a final question, right? Auditor is a watchdog, not a bloodhound. But there is a requirement of having a bloodhound now. Because this is a different kind of thing. It's not a lot of trial and error, a lot of a different kind of world altogether. Because around us, how it used to be, how people used to be, how the technology used to be, is changing. In fact, if I tell you something very, I think it should not be fraud, but you should all be knowing. When you, how many of you are doing bank audit, if may I ask? Branch audits? Okay. Please raise your hand, please. Come on, we all do branch audits. I know branches are going out of fashion, but still we do that. I have a question. It was very good. When I did my articleship, that time when I used to do the branch audit, it was very good. My boss used to give me a calculator and say, do interest calculation, first year articleship. That was he used to do that. And he would say how to do compound interest and simple interest. And that was fun, right? And the second year of articleship, he said, okay, start copying the LFAR. Okay. Third year articleship, I used to fill up the LFAR, everything, final NPA calculation, everything, and get it ready. So that's how my thing happened. But it was a good time when we had all the books of accounts which were manual, okay? All of you have gone for branch audit. I have a very basic question, okay? So the question is, we issued two things, right, when we go for branch audit, especially as a branch auditor. I'm not talking central structure auditor, that's a different ball game altogether, more problem for them. You certify something, you issued certificates, and you issued audit report. Agree? We all know the difference between audit report and certificate. Am I right? Now, what's the main difference? Certificate means you are actually saying, I'm putting my word on this. If something happens, I'll cut my, whatever, not do anything like that. But I will, I just prove it up. We do that, all of us. Now, question to you. How many of you are sure about the capital adequacy certificate which you have given to the branch? You may tell me, it came out of the computer. Yes, agree or disagree? Why I'm pointing at this out is, you don't know. There was someone, I think a famous robber once said, why you rob banks? He said, there's the money is. Okay? Fraudster, and especially the profile of a fraudster, if you see, are basically 40% plus are insiders. And do you know there is a big fraud happens on this kind of thing? And we are issuing certificate. I think somewhere we have to safeguard ourselves when you are issuing certificate. Audit opinion is anyway, it's your opinion. It can vary from person to person. But when you are issuing certificate, I'm just giving you this highlight because I cannot talk more, but be careful. There are a lot of things happening on that side which we can discuss sometime else. So each of us are getting affected by this thing. That it be fraud, technology, and stuff like that. So I'll just quickly go now. Okay, anyone can connect this following? You can have a look at this. I'll come back when we are end of the discussion. Just see these two things. Big cinema, that is Reliance Group, and there is a paste bin. You know, when you used to be in college, connect the following used to come in quiz and all the things. So that's my question. Connect the following. Just think of this. I'll come back to you. The next slide I'm not going to show you because that's the answer. So I'll come that in the last of the thing. So let's understand the new world order. Okay. I was telling you about, how many of you heard about Barings Bank? Barings. Barings Bank? Huh? Nick Leeson, yes sir. Which went down? Huh? Rogue Trader, the movie Rogue Trader and the book Rogue Trader. All of you heard about that, right? Okay, so what was the interesting thing about this, Barings Bank? Perfect. There was no segregation of duties between the front office and the back office. And there was a gentleman called Nick Leeson who was actually in charge of that. He created a suspense account. And what had happened? He used to park all his losses into the suspense account. And ultimately, it went up to around £1 billion. And ultimately, what happened? Barings Bank, which was the oldest bank in UK, you know how old it was? It has given loan to Napoleon Bonaparte. I was told, I read somewhere in the Rogue Trader that it was history they were talking about. It was sold to the ING group for something around, I think, £1 because of reputation loss and stuff like that. Now, why I'm saying you all these things are, Barings Bank was something happened in 1994, 1993. That time, derivatives and all those things was what? Nascent stage. Okay, how many of you remember butterfly spread? Derivatives in our final examination. Anyone remembers butterfly spread? Okay, sir, explain me. No, but I also know that is a butterfly spread. But what is there in the butterfly spread? How's that thing? So how does butterfly spread happen? So I used to work for Goldman Sachs, and we used to make this derivative products. Okay, this is known as exotic products. Each exotic product will be made like a derivative, which will be sold to a client, and you charge $1 million for that. That's the kind of money you made. But if you know this, derivatives is a very interesting thing. Okay, and let me tell you one thing which one of my boss told me once, and I still remember. He said, worldwide, the number of people who understand derivatives and all those businesses properly or real good, you can count on your two hands. Like not just these fingers, but this kind of thing. So there's very less people. Now what happens in Barings Bank? Let's see what's happening now. This was an interesting fraud. I really love this. I have actually I've made a case study on this with one of the professors of IMB. And we are just going to publish it very soon. But this is a very interesting, this is one of my focus area right now, which I'm talking about right now. So this was a bank called Society General. And Jan 2008, not very far off, they reported a fraud of $7.2 billion, which was something around Euro 4.9 billion. And it's a 1984 founded bank. And it operates in 82 countries, has 151,000 people as their employees. And you know what's the interesting thing? This whole fraud was perpetrated with this nice looking gentleman, Jerome Kerviel. And you know what's most interesting? If you go to his Facebook page, if you go back home, just check his Facebook page, he has 300,000 likes. People love him, this guy. And you will see why. We'll just talk about that. Okay? Started his career in 2000 in the compliance department. Okay? So all people in compliance like us are bad people. No, not like that. After 4 to 5 years, how it happens, he was actually promoted as a junior trader in the Delta One product team. And just to bring all of you, I'm sure all of you are from banking perspective, but when I say junior trader on a securities desk and all the thing who deals in derivatives, I'm just talking from Goldman Sachs, his limit will be not more than $100,000. So he can deal in $100,000, that's the max he can do. After all the net offs and all the things, that's the max he can do. Now this guy, he was able to commit a fraud which was worth 7 billion. Or you know what? After this fraud happened, the capital was totally wiped out. They have to go a Middle Eastern sovereign fund to get them financed so that at least they can continue with the business. By the way, Society General has office in Bangalore also. If you get a chance sometime, you can actually go there. Now, it was an unauthorized trading. They said, now there are two reports which are there in the public domain. One report which is published by Society General on their website about how the fraud happened and all the thing, and one by the French regulator, there is a report. Both the reports talks very different, but some of the common thing I would like to talk about there. This fraud was singly done by one junior trader. Junior traders are like your first year articleship. Imagine your first year articles or bonded labels can do anything. Not at all. That's the kind of thing they were actually doing it on. And how he did it, if I have just not go too much in detail, I can actually share this presentation later with all of you, but he was basically dealing in all the derivatives product where there is no margin money. So if there is a margin money, what happens? I have to go to the treasury. Treasury get involved. Money transfer happens. He tried to deal in products where there is no margin money. And you know what is the most interesting thing? His exposure was not 7 billion. His exposure to the market was $51 billion. When they did a complete net off, the loss was that much. So it means he was at an exposure of 50 billion. And how? He was able to do this because of two things. One, very rightly told here, segregation of duties. When he moved from, it's not like Society General is like one of the small banks. They are one of the best bank and they have a very good internal audit team. It's not that nothing wrong with them. But I hope you know nowadays there is a kind of a concept of there is internal audit, there is risk management, there is operation risk, different teams, different kind of tools they use. There are multiple red flags happening, but no one was looking at all of them together. It was like in silos. We talk about enterprise risk management, silos. This guy was able to know that I am in compliance, I understand what they were going to do as a red flag, what not. And he was able to do this by falsifying emails. Tell me one thing, how tough is it to send email on Sir's account? Can I get a confirmation? You get from banks confirmation. We get a Satyam case of FDR, fraudulent FDR. Imagine if they would have gone only in the mail confirmation. How easy or how tough is to send a mail? Do you know one interesting thing? Even Gmail allows you to send mails from different IDs. Like I can use Gmail. There are some small controls out there, but I can send mails from, let's say, Sir's ID or Sir's ID. So easy to do that. Now that, he was able to do that. And when they figure it out, all these things, fake mail, using other people's password, so easy to do that. Okay, let me ask you a question. If I ask you that, okay, please put your hand on your heart and tell the truth. Yeah, I'm just going to guess your password and tell me if I'm wrong. So most of your people out of this room, around 30% to 40% people password is, either password is password, or password is, any of your family members, dear and near one's name, and date of birth, or any combination of God names and any combination of this kind of stuff. Agree, disagree? How tough it is to guess password? It is very easy. And that's something which he was able to work it out. And what is the most interesting thing? This is, okay, fraud happens. You do business, fraud will happen. This guy was out of, basically confinement, in how many days? 7 days flat. He already have a new employment. Okay. This is his company. Lemaire, he's a consultant actually. So they were consultant and associates. And this guy is on a new job of information technology security consulting. He's doing consulting now, how fraud cannot be done. Can you imagine this guy is like Ultimate. That's why he has so many likes. You can become a friend request to him on Facebook, okay? So Jerome Kerville is the name. Just add him up, ask him what he did. The reason why they couldn't put him behind bars, there are not enough evidence. We talk about this, a word, you remember we used to say audit trail, which actually I can take you to the court of law and say that, okay, there's an evidence, this is kind of done. No, I couldn't prove it up. This guy is out. That kind of thing which scares you. This is the new world order where a person can commit a fraud, and after committing a fraud, get a better job. Imagine. Yes. What for, sir? What, like basically to join politics? Huh? No audit trail, for sure. Basically, if you see the report to the nations, this is very interesting from ACFE. All of you can download it up as a PDF. I highly recommend it to you. Government frauds are very interesting. I can actually talk about one full day on that. They are more dangerous than this kind of thing. You know, so I was today morning I came back from Nairobi. I was actually for some business trip out there. And in Nairobi, if you just search on the web, there was a fraud which has happened that the vice president of Kenya has used some business jet. Okay? And they were actually trying to figure it out. The comptroller and auditor general there was trying to audit them up and say that money paid was more. What they did is they removed the evidence from this. You know, we used to have these cases, right? Some of our clients used to say, 3 saal mein ek bar aag laga do, sara document sab. Yes or no? Yes, that's a kind of a good thing, right? You just remove all the evidences. Come what may be, it will not do it. But you are right, sir, on that point. Politicians would love this guy. Okay, he is good. Yes, you can add him as a friend in Facebook, actually. Now, I want to talk about one very interesting thing here. Okay, I used to work for Infosys. So, anyone, if you're following Infosys, what's the annual turnover of Infosys? Sorry? 45,000? No, crores, okay. USD would be? 8 billion, something around that, right? Perfect, sir. Yeah, something around 8 billion, I'm not following it up. How many people work in Infosys? We have close to 150,000 people. They work day and night, and after that also we get how much? 8 billion, okay? Let me talk about one company, okay? If you start following them, they are very interesting. They have 80 people, and they make $16 billion. No. This Facebook doesn't make that much of money. They are still like their investment. Yeah, they have market capitalization is there, but they don't make that amount of revenue. Anyone? 80 people, 16 billion, 80, that's all. Heard about a company called RBN, Russian Business Network? How many of you heard about that? Okay. Next time you want to think of doing a fraud, okay, you should go to 2 places in the world, which are the best place. Sweden, Russia. That's for sure. I love. You know, I'll just share one of the things which happened with me. So I'll not name again the bank. So I was actually helping around 5 years back. One of my friend, he got a kind of a central stat auditor and all the thing. He wanted my help in some of the thing. So you know, central stat auditor has one good funda thing. They get some big branches to audit. Right? So we went to Kolkata. Okay. So Kolkata we went and there was a big branch. And you know, class A branches which we say Forex and all the things. So it was a class A branch. So he said, you know, why don't you come us and help us on that? We cannot finish up audit in 3 days, and you are, you know, understand all the CBS and all things. Why don't you help us? So I went there. So luckily we finished most of our work in 3 days. But you know, my friend has already booked me for the 4th day night to come back. So what to do? So 4th day was just roaming around. Some people are filling up details and all the things. So there was one Gupta ji. So Gupta ji is in charge of Swift. Okay. So I love anyone who is with Swift code. You know. Swift is a very powerful, Swift code, you know, right? You know, the international transaction when you do and all things. So I go to Gupta ji and say, Gupta ji, please explain me how do you do all these things. So Gupta ji is around, if you have to describe him, 55, 56-year-old guy, joined the bank and till now he's with the bank, very loyal person. So Gupta ji said me, it's very simple. I have my CBS, I create an advice, it goes to the bank manager, he approves it up. I come back, this advice is interfaced with the Swift terminal, it comes, it preloaded it. I again send it to the bank manager, and then bank manager approve, and then the money goes. I said, great. And I said, you know, this branch was very busy, it's an industrial branch. Don't you think you like branch manager again and again to go him up? He said, no problem. I use my user ID password, do it. Then password is pass the word, right? Then you go to the bank manager user ID password, go it, approve it up. Then Swift also I do the same thing. Now, password is not pass the word, right? So, I just said to him, great Gupta ji. Now, I was thinking, if I was at the place of Gupta ji, what would I would have done? Huh? No. Yeah, actually you are right. I actually was so, influenced that I should actually transfer some $15 million because Swift, I hope you know there is no limit kind of thing. There are some checks and balances are there, but if you have audited Swift sometime you will understand it's very, very interesting system altogether. It's very old, still working it out, so it doesn't have a lot of controls. I would have transferred $15 to $20 million to my account somewhere in Russia, run away from this country and enjoyed a life, not doing all this lecture, this kind of thing, right? That would have been fun, right? $18, $20 million and all the thing, isn't it? But point is, till now, let me tell you, this is what I think. And just wait for 4 or 5 years, you will see huge amount of banking fraud happening in India. Till now, we have a generation which is very loyal to the bank and very nice generation. They don't think of this kind of, frauds. But the new class of youngster who are coming, or too savvy, you'll just see a lot of interesting. Sir? Yeah, you can interpret that, but I can tell you, okay? If next 4 years, I can sign it on a stamp paper and give you. If Indian banking doesn't get $1 million fraud, I will do one fraud. It's so easy to do that. Okay? So my point is that it's so damn easy. Now RPN, I just wanted to talk about RPN, this company. This is their headquarters. And you'll ask me, if everyone knows that they do this kind of fraud, why no one stopped them? The point is, we have Information Technology Act. Russia doesn't have it. So your definition of fraud, or what we say, the section 420, which is also a kind of fraudulent section and all, we talked about that, doesn't apply to them. And these people can do anything, okay? You want to host a fraudulent site, you want to do anything. How many of you have got this mail saying that I came to abroad and I lost? A lot of you? Anyone paid money to them? Never. Why? You should try to talk to them, figure it out what they are doing. They feel so bad, right? They try, and you just don't even try to, listen to them. See, I've tried. I interact with them a lot of times. It's fun. You don't have to pay money. That's all thing. No, you have to understand. You cannot catch a fraudster unless you understand their mind. So let me tell you one thing. Okay, you go to Bangalore airport. The best thing you find about Bangalore airport is what? Free internet, Wi-Fi, 45 minutes free Wi-Fi, right? Usually, if you are not that kind of person, you will not do it. But let me take it a little different. You are going, let's say, abroad for a trip, and most of the flights will go through Bangkok, like Thai Airways or Singapore Airlines. So either you are going to Bangkok or you are going to Changi Airport. Okay. The moment you get down from the airport, what you see at the terminals? There are free internet, free internet, free internet. Anything free is good or bad? No, but we always take free things, right? I remember I used to come to institute sometime only for the bonda. Sorry for that. But it used to be good fun. Evening you're passing through that and you can just go upstairs before the CP meeting, have the, the food and all the things. Free things are good, okay? Now, imagine, this is like how social engineering and how thought process work. If I get something free, what do I do first? I'll use it up, right? I see a free internet, I'll just see, okay, Facebook, let me check. LinkedIn, let me check. Let me check my Gmail, any mails have come and all the things. Because if you're in Singapore, you have to buy a kind of internet credit and all the things, it's not possible. Now there's like softwares like keyloggers, okay? A small software which is there, which will log everything which you type. And these are a very automated process. So the moment you have used the free internet out there, your user ID, password, all the contacts in your mails will get a mail pre-formatted. It's all computers, like no human intervention, saying that, please, I just came for a abroad trip. It will not be a very detailed mail. I lost money. There is a guy who's ready to help me out. And they will not give you some bank account. They will give you PayPal account number. They say, PayPal account, can you transfer some money to this kind of account? $5, $10, they will say that. Okay? You'll try to contact that guy up, but actually he's in abroad or he would have taken a flight from there that time. He's not reachable. He's for next 5 or 7 or 8 hours, he's not there. You try reaching it up. Even if the hit rate is 1 in a lakh, I don't have to invest any money. It's a software program which is just doing the work. Just send this mail. what happened next? I'm totally, if even 10 people out of 1 lakh people respond, I have $100, right? That's a good money. Oh, no, 100, 10, 100. Yeah, I'm very bad at math. Foundation, I got exactly 40 marks, so sorry for that. So $100 I get, right? So the point which I'm trying to bring out here is, RBN is in front of that. They do everything, and imagine 18 billion is the thing. I actually, if you get a chance sometime, there is a very interesting hacking conference happens every year in India at Goa, which is known Nalcon. You can attend it up. So it's in Feb every year. I would highly invite you. You get a lot of hackers from all part of the world. So last Nalcon, we had a very nice case study on this RBN. So RBN, they have not been able to arrest any of the people. There are 80 people. Everyone knows who are the people behind that. It's a company, out there registered in Russia. So what CIA did, they wanted to crack and figure it out how. So somehow they got 2 people out of this, and they got them to actually in a different country, and there they got them arrested. So it was basically a United Nations led kind of a body, Interpol and everyone was involved, and they did this thing up. Some other country out of Russia, so that they can catch hold of them. And ultimately when they get arrested, so in fact, like if you go to Nalcon, you cannot record any of the sessions, because most of the sessions they will say all audio devices and video devices not allowed, because they don't want to share it out. They showed us some pictures of the raid which was conducted, and they arrested them. In that, one of the guy, I saw that picture, was wearing a shoes. One was red color, one was green color. So I was like shocked. Do you think people wearing green and red color shoes differently? It's not. So I asked this guy who was presenting, I asked him, he was actually a guy from Italy, and he was presenting up. I said, is it a fashion statement in that country to have this kind of shoes? He said, no. These shoes are made out of basically, what do you say, the snake skin, special snake skin, and it's very costly. It's 2,200 euro per pair. And he wanted to show that I'm very rich. So one red, one green. So 4,400 euros. He wanted to show that I'm very rich. That's the kind of mentality they are. Imagine 80 people sharing that kind of money. 16 billion is huge. And that's the kind of money these people are making because lack of awareness. What was their modus operandi? You will be shocked. They will actually load free software on many of the sites, and these are known as ransomware. Ransomware, like someone come to your office and say, give me money or I'll actually blast a bomb in front of your kind of thing. They will just send you, they'll upload some music file and all the things. When you download it up, no one reads the agreement, right? You sign, you say yes, 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 yes. One of the line will be, after 15 days, if you don't want this software, delete it. Otherwise, it will be a deemed acceptance. All of us know deemed acceptance, right? It is a deemed acceptance, and then you have to pay the money. And then what we'll do, after 15-20 days, if you don't do anything, one day morning you come and start your machine, it will just put one message on the screen saying, please deposit this much money to this account to get the key to open your machine. You try to get your hard disk, nothing happened. You try to take your hard disk out, all data are gone, basically. It's encrypted. So either you pay the money or you just lost your data. Imagine this happened on 29th of September. Fun, isn't it, huh? You'll think twice before paying the money? No, right? Now this is what RBN did, and this is how they are actually growing. These guys are too good. The interesting thing is, they are into everywhere, and these are known as basically the cyber fraudster. These are the kind of a new generation of people who are doing fraud everywhere. Everything fake. They have mail and all the things. I just talked about a little bit of forensic accounting. I just want to talk about computer forensic. There's a new world order. Today, as per the new report to the nation 2012, which was there is an interesting thing. Any fraud where in any way I've used a computer or any of the thing is a computer fraud. Now, the way we see that, something around 80+% of the frauds comes in this category. Somewhere, some kind of technology is being used. The way of this, we say pure play fraud, they are coming down. That you see on only at Majestic. You've seen those? The guy will come and say, no Hindi. No one has happened to this. So if you walk to the Majestic bus stand sometime, you'll see one guy coming and say, Hindi, or sometimes say Marathi, or sometimes say Telugu. And then you'll say yes. Then he will say, I lost my way. I don't have money. Now they are pure play. They don't use computer fraud, okay? Apart from that, all the other guys, the white collar, sorry, I'm wearing a white collar today, but the white collar, the blue collar frauds days are gone. It's actually very less. Asset misappropriation and all those kind of things. We see in a kind of a world where we are today, more and more are basically frauds, which are used or committed using computers. Now the definition is, when we say computer forensic, I was telling you something sometime back, someone asked us to do it. So there was a fraud which happened in that organization. Someone actually, now tell me one thing. All of us understand about intellectual property. Bangalore is a hub of all this IT, right? Do you know one very interesting case? Okay, this is in public domain, so I can use the name also. How many of you heard about Geometric Software? Okay, it's a listed company, sir, right? Heard about the case under IT Act which happened in Geometric Software? How many of you heard about that? No? Okay. It's in public domain. If you just go on news.google, there was a very interesting analysis on that. And Bangalore, we have a lot of frauds happening, okay? A good fun place, actually, to commit fraud, actually. So let me explain you this Geometric Software, which is very interesting. It's in public domain, so I don't have any problem telling this. Geometric Software, what happened was, this is a very interesting case. They are into software testing. I hope you know the software testing services, a lot of company gives that kind of stuff, right? Now in software testing services, what was happening was, when I'm doing the software testing, some company in US will make the software, they will send me the source code or the main program. In India, we have our people who will actually basically do the testing of the whole thing and send a report whether the software was okay or not. Now the source code is sent to us. So this happened, our Information Technology Act was revised in which year? There was IT Act 2000 revised. Actually, he is right. 2008 it was named, but actually it got the assent and everything 2010. Okay. Now, IT Act, you know what an interesting thing? Till 2000 to 2008, not one person was prosecuted or arrested under the Act, but they couldn't prosecute them. That's the reason they changed it up. Because it was very interesting. It was a copy-paste job, and like any other copy-paste job, no one understood it well. Now, the point, it happened actually in 2000, what I'm talking about, the case happened in 2006-07. And that was one of the reasons they say that this was a case which led to this whole change of IT Act. Now, one guy who was a program manager of that company, Geometric Software, got the software code. And the software was written by a company in US, which is very, very famous. And when he saw the code, he understood that this code is for some very special software. What he did is, he took a copy of that code in a CD, and he tried to contact the competitor of that company in US, saying that I want to sell you the source code. If you understand source code, it's like, making the books of account. Little bit of changes here and there, I can actually create a new software program. Now that company, competition laws sometimes are very tough in, anti-competition, like you've heard about the Microsoft, Google fights and all the things. So they don't want you to take chance, so they inform FBI about that. So our FBI said, okay, we have our cousin CBI in India. So they informed CBI saying, okay, there is a case like that, can you please help us? CBI said, okay, don't worry, we are the best, okay. So it's a joke, right? Okay, anyway. So what they did, CBI, is they said, okay, we will have a transfer of money and we'll take evidences and everything. They used to give this note with color-coded, range haath pakarna and all the things. Heard about that? Huh? Chemical and all the things you have read. So they took this money in a suitcase and they tried to do that. And they took photographs from far that he's giving the thing, taking it up and all the things. The guy got arrested, came out on bail after around 3-4 months. And the case, as usual, happened in our Indian code, continued. After 3 years, this guy was let go because of lack of evidence. What did they prove? The defense said he was not giving a kind of, basically source code CD. That was his song CDs. Okay, he's recorded some music. He's interested in music. He's singing and he was signing a contract for music. And this was the song for that. Now, how can you prove that in the CD it was source code, not song? And in Indian code it happens, right? Evidences can be changed in a lot of things. it was a classic case that court of law didn't accepted an evidence. Now today, there is this whole concept of forensic accounting and computer forensic is evolving. A lot of time it is more of sometimes you win, sometimes they win. So the bad guys are also very smart. So you have to kind of be there. Now I have to ensure that I can get the evidence in the court of law. Okay? I'll tell you another interesting case which is there. I'll not name it up, but this is again an Indian MNC in the IT sector. There was an arrest warrant issued against the CIO. Do you know why? Okay, this was very interesting. You see this thing? How many of you are from industry here? Anyone? Okay. In industry, it's a common practice of giving up data cards, laptops and all the things. Data cards are given, okay? Now these data cards are issued in the name of whom? Company. In company you have to give a KYC perspective, some name has to be given. And usually they give one of the person's name or who's in charge of that. In this case, unluckily or whatever, the name of the CIO was given out there. Because he was in charge of all these things and all the connections were taken in his name. That machine was, or that data card was issued to a guy and he went abroad. So when he was away, he thought, let me milk my company a little bit. So he gave the data card to one of his cousin. And you know what his cousin did? His cousin used the data card to actually launch an attack on what? Delhi International Airport baggage system. I don't know if you have seen the baggage system of Delhi International Airport. It's one of the best. Okay, so a highly automated baggage control system. And they tried to hack into this. He was anyway unsuccessful because it's a very strong thing. But what happened next is, this guy, the IP address was there. They figure it out, this IP address is from this data card of this company. They get it up. The arrest warrant was issued on that. The CIO comes in the morning and they say, police guy is sitting out there with an arrest warrant. And then they figure it out, okay, this is kind of a misconception that's been issued to someone. But the harm was done. Imagine police coming to a campus and all the things. Does it look nice? As a reputation kind of issue comes up there. They figure it out, but the kind of laws we are into, the way it is so easy to do that. And let me tell you the famous case of BBMP. All of you know BBMP, right? So heard about the BBMP stuff? It's in public domain. All of these things are public domain. Come on, you guys should be knowing all those things. Interesting. BBMP is my favorite case, okay? This is a case of revenue leakage. Okay, anyone? How many is the budget of BBMP? Bangalore Mahanagar Palika. Anyone? Sorry, sir? Close to, something around that, okay? So I'll not tell you how it came out, but I'll tell you what was the modus operandi. I cannot tell you more on that other part, but what is in the public domain, we should know that much, okay? So all of you pay house tax, right? Now that's a self-assessment tax, right? You get it, the notice in the newspaper, we do our own calculation and we do it. How many of you know what happened in the back end? Anyone? We should get BBMP under audit, right? Internal audit and all this kind of stuff. It will be fun. Anyway. Yes, ma'am. You were saying something? Checks? No, this was very interesting. It was more better than that, actually. Now, what was happening was, how many of you are from Jayanagar here? No one? Okay. So, I hope you have not done that fraud. Huh? You're not part of the thing. Anyway, I'm just joking. So, it happened actually in Jayanagar. So, what was the modus operandi was something like this. So, when Mr. Nilankani was the Bangalore Agenda Task Force chairman, he got Wipro to actually implement a software for BBMP, which basically does all this self-assessment calculation. I hope you know, you don't get center subsidy if you're not on self-assessment tax. You have to be on self-assessment tax to do that. Now, the software which is there is a very robust software. Basically, what happens is, whenever you get your house, khata and all the thing approved, the detail goes on the system, and the system, every year, they do one run. Okay, I have 10 minutes more? Yeah, so this is the last thing. So, every year, they do a kind of a run, which is basically from a perspective of calculating that your house is in Jayanagar, this is your plot size, this is the built-up area, XYZ. As per the system, your tax should be 70,000 rupees, let's say. Okay? They will keep this information into the system, and they'll wait, they will publish all this thing up, They will wait for you. Let's say you do miscalculation. You paid 80,000 rupees. Good. They will not say anything. If you pay more as self-assessment tax, they are silent. They will not say anything. But the moment you pay less than 60,000, the system automatically generates a kind of a error list. It gives to the inspector, and then he come knocking on your door and do a complete assessment. I hope. How many of you have gone through that assessment? It's very painful actually. No one? Okay, you guys are all like good citizens. Now, what some people did is, now this is what we understand, okay? In Tally, all of you use Tally? Okay. Let me ask you one question. Would you certify a books of account which is written by pencil? Anyone? Double the fees? Sure. If, huh? Don't you think Tally, when you certify books of account, you are actually certifying a books of account with pencil? It's editable. So earlier we used to say pencil iconito, if you don't write with pen, I will not going to certify. But today we certify. Do you think Tally is a bad product? No, it's one of the best products. Mr. Bharat Goenka has done an amazing job. But my question is, how many of you have put the controls which are there in F12 saying backdated entry is not allowed? Don't you think somewhere we have to introspect also? Why I'm just bringing it out is, Tally is a very interesting example. Okay, we are actually leading this pack of how frauds are being committed. Somewhere we have to safeguard ourselves. The point which I was trying to say is, in Tally there are two ways of taking backup, right? One is you go to the gateway of Tally and take a backup. The other one is what? Copy paste. We do that, right? The copy paste way is a back end work. You know, it's a back end stuff. Just like that, in Tally, the way I can change the database, there is a front end which I go in Tally and do a voucher change. And the other is, what do? I can actually do the database and change it up. Now what happens is, if you go to the BBNP place, you will find people, engineers who are passed out of MS Ramaiah College working at 10,000 rupees, 8,000 rupees. Can you imagine that? Now it means there is something, it's a red flag. Something is really wrong. Now when you figure it out, what they get is, they got this fraud which was close to around 18 crores, which was done. What was happening was, these people used to go to the house of the person and say, sir, as per our record, your tax should be 60,000 rupees. Especially this inspector was from Jayanagar area and he used to do that. You either pay us 10,000 rupees. I will ensure it up that if you pay 10,000 rupees more, you will never get a notice. Okay. This guy will come, take the 10,000 rupees, go and deposit. From the back end, this guy will go and change the data, which is 60,000 to 10,000. If I have to try to do from application, it is not possible. But can I do it from the database? I can. They were doing it for close to around 6 months. And ultimately what happened? 18 crores. And this was the tip of the iceberg. And it was only happening in Jayanagar. Then there was some, I think there was a talk that some corporator was involved and all the things. They stopped it up. I hope if you do some search of 2008-9 newspaper, Deccan Herald and all the things, there are very interesting reports on this. Point which I'm trying to say is, the frauds are happening all around us. Only way we can actually deal with them is awareness, awareness and awareness, nothing else. And somewhere as chartered accountant, it becomes important because, you know, ultimately fraud is just the next level of, or, you know, fraud investigation or forensic accounting or computer forensic is the next level of what we used to say, instead of being a watchdog, we become a bloodhound. We go out one step forward from that. Because today, the kind of world we see, you know, it's changing. And there's a lot of demand for good professionals in this area because this is an emerging opportunity for us. Computer forensics specifically talks about preservation, identification, extraction, documentation and interpretation. It means how do I, you know, get your hard disk, copy it up, take it as evidence in the court of law and prove that it has not been tampered. I have to prove it up. For example, there are also something called as anti-forensic. You know, I think all of you use it, right? Okay. That I cannot discuss now. So I'm sorry. So anyway, my point which I'm saying, there are terms called anti-forensic. People actually have the hard disks which are basically, even if I format a hard disk, don't you think I can get the data? It's very easy for me to that. Even if you formatted it 7 times, I can still get the data. So if you want a live demo, I can show you. There is a tool which we use. Basically, there is a FTK, there is a tool. And if I delete the data, I can still extract all your hard disk up. So basically, nowadays what happens is, many people what they do, especially if you have a 2-number accounts and all the things, what they will do is, they will have a tool called Scrubber. I'm sure all of you have heard about that, right? Scrubber is like basically come from McAfee and couple of things. So I take my hard disk and I run a Scrubber detail on that. Once I have done a Scrubber, it basically formats my machine more than 16 times and also put a junk data and format. So these are basically anti-forensic. But then there are tools like FTK, NCase. NCase is the one which we use because in India, as of now, the police accept a case which is done in NCase. Other FTK is not so prevalent, but there's a tool called NCase which you can use. And if you use this tool, you can actually take evidence out of a hard disk which is running, take into the code allo, you can actually analyze it, how many mails are there, what kind of discussions are there, chats. Because once you're deleting a file on your hard disk, do you think it's deleted? Never deleted. So I'll just share one interesting thing which happened. Now we are in advanced stage, okay? I'm talking about the time when I was in 3rd year articleship. So 3rd year articleship, you are show off, right, that time, because you have already got experience and all the things. So we were actually doing for one of the client, and one day the finance manager told me, sir, please don't come tomorrow. I said, why? He said, tomorrow we are going to have a excise raid. So he had a prior information there is an excise raid happening. I said, okay, no problem, will not come. So next day we told office we are in a client place, but we were actually watching movies and all the things. And then came back, and 3rd day we came back. So when we came, we asked what happened. He said, he was like looking very, very down. He said, sir, I actually deleted everything, but I forgot to delete it from the recycle bin. So the moment they came, they actually took the recycle bin and took it out. Now that was in something around 2002, 2003. But let me tell you, even today, even if you delete it from your recycle bin, your data is never lost. It's on the hard disk. It never goes off. So you need to be careful with all this kind of stuff. Okay? So with that, I will just stop here. I think I've already taken extended time. I will be happy if you have any questions, any query, feel free to let me know. Sorry. Sorry, sir. Perfectly. Sir, my view is very simple. Okay, let me tell you one thing. Okay, computer security, if you think, impossible. If I have to tell you which is the most secure computer in the world, let me define it for you. So there is a kind of a DEFCON, which is an annual hacking conference which happens in Las Vegas. They have a competition that designed the most secure computer. The guy who won it was in 2008. After that, no one has been able to give a better design. You know how the design says? You can go to DEFCON site, see the design. The design is you create a nuclear bunker. Nuclear bunker, even a nuclear bomb falls, nothing should go up. Then you go to level 7. Level 7 is the most secure level of a nuclear bunker. There you put a computer without an internet connection. That is the most secure computer. So I agree with you. You are perfectly right, because Russian agencies, they know. I hope, how many of you heard of Snowden? Yeah, PRISM. If you want, I have some videos on PRISM, but anyway, we can discuss that later. PRISM, do you know India is on the top radar, whatever you're doing? Our Indian agencies are talking, but more than us, US guys are interested in what we do every day, what you are talking on our things. Okay? Great. Yes, sir. Can you use the mic, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, we all know there are so many frauds happening, but don't you think the bank should have a better systems? Like when I pay in India through my ATM card, through debit card, it asks for an OTP and password and stuff.
Right.
But I recently paid ISACA fees and linked the website. All it asks is your name, your number, and the CVV number.
Perfect.
So when you give your debit card in supermarkets or anywhere, they can just take a Xerox of it and they can keep making international payments, whereas all security is there for the Indian payments.
So it
doesn't make any sense, sir.
I completely agree with you. Yes. There is a body called NPCI. Heard about that? National Payment Corporation of India. It's an RBI funded body. What you are saying is perfectly right. In fact, as a CISA member, I was to think of this. Then, I asked one senior member of a profession in ISACA that why this is there. He said, boss, you are actually a course. You are coming to do the course. It's fine, even if you do it, you will not be able to give the examination, right? The time, processing time, they will figure it out whether it is that. But one thing which is there is, if you have not noticed, I don't know, today there are more than 5 Indian airlines companies, I'll not name it up, you can actually do a bigger fraud than, you just require name, CVV number, and they don't even go for the OTP. 5 are there right now. Like for example, Master and Visa in India, they have all this OTP concept, but there are still 5 airlines company in India who doesn't use it. The point which you are asking is perfectly right. Why they are not doing it? The reason comes in 2 things. Awareness, the bank would have not gone for that kind of thing, and second is cost benefit analysis. A lot of time, let's say for example, I use a MX card. MX always asks for an OTP, okay? But if I use in many of the other sites in US, which are on an old technology, they don't even take it up right now. I can just go, just process, anything can happen. It's more of a kind of a, we are actually luckier. In India, we are much luckier. We learn from other people's mistake. But other part of the world, they are still behind with us. Sorry? How do we protect ourselves? Okay, that's a good question. Okay.
This will be a different session.
Okay, that will be a different session. No. RBI, sir, RBI cannot tell what ISACA does in US. They are in US jurisdiction. Na? ISACA.
I think we shall invite
I will
Anand
do one thing. I can actually take it offline, all the discussion.
to another session.
Yeah.
Friends, it is very intriguing how many of us are actually interested in fraud. Let me ask you one thing. Today we are all in Kalyuga, as we all know. From the days of Satyug, when Ravan changed what he looked like, he took the what do you call? Yeah, the vesh of sadhu and tried to pull out Sita. Was that a fraud? When the Britishers tried to come into India, tried to find a way into India in order to strike a trade relation with India, ultimately having ulterior motives, was that a kind of fraud? Few years back in 1980s, we heard doctors, if you go for an operation of any kind, you come back with sutures on your tummy, your liver being stolen, or I don't know, heart being stolen, what and all being stolen, kidney being stolen. I don't know, I'm not a doctor, I don't know. Was that a kind of fraud? Today, if you just carry your credit card, we now got to know even that can be stolen. Physically it is there with you, but in virtual sense it is stolen. So, Ravan was killed, Britishers had to go away, those doctors were behind bars, and the time is not far when even these hackers, who look so glamorous today, will face punishment. Fraud in any age, in any form, is punishable. Fraud is crime, crime is punishable. No matter how much glamorous it may look. We should really thank Anand, who has made this topic so interesting and also has brought about an awareness to each and every one of us. Now we are going to be more careful. We know to keep now the credit card in the sleeve. It may just be a paper sleeve like he has shown in the video, but that paper sleeve is going to protect the credit card. I hope everyone has noticed it, right? The paper sleeve, Anand? Isn't it? You just preserve the paper sleeve and you can preserve the credit card as it is. Nobody can even touch your money. So, we don't have to get into so much into hacking and fraud and everything. We have better things to do. And any help required, we can call Anand. Let him do all the fraud acts. Because, see, he is not doing fraud act. That is why he is toiling today in front of us for 3 hours. Otherwise, he would have made 18 crores somewhere sitting. 18 million. I mean, he only talks millions and billions. He doesn't understand lakhs and crores. So, to present, to show our love and affection, may I request to give him our token of appreciation by presenting him with a memento. May we have a round of applause? Delegates, it was very kind of you to have been here throughout till about 8 o'clock. And the same presence and the same interest and enthusiasm we also expect from you when we discuss our own technical subjects. See you all next week, same time, same day. Thank you.